Welcome to the Diamond Spotlight interview. I am Barbara Beckley, the founder of the Diamond Factor LLC, where the mission is to empower women to understand their PPD, their purpose, passion, and drive. And this platform is to make sure to increase their visibility to shine like a diamond to the world. Today we are spotlighting, and I always call them ladies queens. So we have another royalty here in the virtual palace, as I want to say. This wonderful queen, Laura Armstrong Leadership Accelerator, communication expert. As a three-time world champion, she helps to develop the skills to give the tools and map out the action plan to reach your full potential that you will with that will fast track you on the road extraordinary leadership success. Welcome, welcome, Queen Laura. How are we doing this morning?
I am doing amazing. I'm so excited to be here today. Any chance where we can connect with others and talk to women and inspire them just gets my blood boiling because I love that, right? And I'm very excited about that. It's my passion, it's my mission, and I'm living it and doing it, and I want everyone else to be doing the same.
Well, lady, you are just, after meeting you, we talked before, and then reading what you've done and years and years of just expertise. I'm just like, I feel that you're a celebrity. You're a celebrity. OMG, as they say. So let's just get into this. I want the audience to get to know you and know how awesome you are, because I already know that, but I want them to know you. So, I always talk about people having true purpose and passion in their lives. And I know, you dealt with leadership and communications, to help others. And see, this is what I love about what you do. You not only have your own expertise that you're honing for yourself, you help others get that too. So just kind of tell us a little bit what inspired you.
Yeah, for sure. And, I don't want people to watch the video and think, oh my God, she does all this, I can't do it. It's in the quiet moments of ourself where we manifest the power of who we are and what we can do. And so you don't need to be talking about it all the time. You just need to be it, and the rest will shine. And I really feel like if we live that purpose, it's going to happen for you regardless, and it's going to show up in the best way possible for you. Because, I've been teaching and training in martial arts and speaking around the world for 30 years now. And when I started, there weren't a lot of women at an international level. And sometimes you had to compete with men. And not just in martial arts, but in business. I was working in the corporate world for 20 years. I was the only woman on the training desk, and you just have to be brave enough to step into your power and see what happens. And I realize not everybody, that's their thing. So sometimes getting outside of your comfort zone is really the way to live, because that's where change happens, and not in a bad way, but in a way that you can not only control it, but help it manifest more for you and others. So when I got into martial arts, I had no idea what was going to happen. Like anything, you just kind of see how it goes. I was always competitive. I held titles in powerlifting and bodybuilding when I was very young. And so that kind of ended because if I wanted to go professional, I would have to get involved in taking drugs and all that. And it's just the way the culture was and what I was doing. And I wasn't interested in that. So I took one of those little continuing education courses where you go once a week for 10 weeks from 7 to 8:30 after work. And, you learn this skill. And so I go to this class, it's Aikido. And Aikido is the Japanese art of self-defense. So it's all about philosophy and love and stepping off the line and blending with your partner. And of course, my teacher was this little woman. She was 4'0". She's amazing. And she's, after the first class, she's like, okay, does anybody have any questions? And I'm like, so of course my hand goes up. I'm like, yeah, when are we going to start the kicking and punching? Right? Because, I'm like, I'm here to kick ass. Right. And I think I was like, I think I was like 20 or something. I didn't know any better. And you could just see the look on her face. She's like, oh my God, one of those. Right. So she was very patient with me. And there must have been something about the way she taught that I liked, because I ended up staying for 30 years. Right. I've run my own schools. I have schools in the States. And I do another martial art as well called Filipino martial arts, which is more combative that includes more weapons and hand-to-hand combat. So it's a little bit more street focused and self-defense focused. So, and the cool thing is I belong to a lot of international organizations for self-defense and empowerment for women, which is very important. I've taught all over the world. But what is really cool is I won 3 world championships, not once or twice, but I did it 3 times. And then I trained my students to do that. And they in turn trained their students. So the point I'm trying to make here is I learned how to create a leadership legacy. Because if we don't take what we learn and bring it out into the world, then there's no purpose for us being here. So yeah, you know what I'm saying, right? Like,
yes.
Yeah. So I created a leadership legacy, and then I was a holistic practitioner. I still am before COVID, and I used to see clients teach courses, holistic courses, but that all kind of stopped. So I'm like, okay, what am I going to do here, right? And I was speaking to a brand strategist. She's like, Laura, just like you. She said, you're more famous than I am. Why aren't you talking about leadership? And I'm like, yeah, I guess. But you know, Barbara, when it's something you just do every day, you don't think about it like that, right? It's just a part of who you are. And so then we spent time developing this, and now it's become this big thing that people are reaching for, because even if they don't want leadership, they want the path to something more. Yes. And that's what I do is I help women and people step into their power and embrace it and not be afraid of it, but allow it to contribute to them and to the people around them.
Brilliance. Awesome. That's why I wanted you on. Yes, it is so, I mean, you know, there's no getting around. Just real quickly, Laura, you mentioned, you know, about the leadership and understanding. And like, I loved how you just, you know, you taught it, and then the people that you taught it to, they taught it to others. So they're taking on and they're moving into that leadership with other people to show them. And you can't get around not being in leadership. I mean, I always tell people, just when you do what you do, people are watching you. So right there is a sense of leadership, because they're saying, okay, what are they doing? How are they doing it? So you have to have a certain, you know, when you're doing something, it's not just about you anymore. It's about, you know, what you're doing, because others are watching and they're seeing and they're taking on, because they might say, oh, I want to be just like Laura. So, you know, in Laura's mind, you're like, okay, I am a leader now, because now people want to see what I do, and I have to teach and make sure that I'm doing it in the right manner, because you never know who's watching. They can either go left or go right, and you don't want to be kind of the one that kind of helped them go the other way.
You know, and it's so true, Barbara. And you know, the thing is, ladies, be willing to be seen. Yeah. That's the thing. Okay. And you are beautiful exactly as you are. Do not put stuff on yourself where you're not good enough, because it's not true. And you're the one making that up. Nobody else here. Okay. And I got a great example for you. Last night I was on a Zoom call, because now I have to do testing with my schools in the States on Zoom. Very weird, but it works. And I've been grooming the teachers to take over the testing. And so I ran the testing, but they were collaborative with me. And at the end, I was like, okay, so does anybody have any questions? Like, do you have anything else to add the people testing? And they're like, so they asked their questions. And then we went into a room and had a conversation about the testing. And before I said anything, they told me what they saw. So I'm grooming them to take over, because, you know, I would go back to the Philippines, you know, every few years. I still do with my students, and my teachers would be less, because they're getting older and they pass away. And every time we go, they give me as much as they can, because they don't know if it's the last time I'm going to see them, you know? Mm. So I would encourage you not to hold on to stuff. And the more you give, the more there is for everyone.
Yes. Ooh. Now, you mentioned one of your words of wisdom. So I did kind of do a good stalking, and I kind of looked around what you do on Facebook and everything. And there was one quote that you had, because you had some brilliant quotes that you mentioned. You said, leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. So what guided you to that particular quote? What kind of impacted you to say that quote?
Well, I think, you know, leadership and learning, because in order to excel, your cup always has to be empty, right? And sometimes I feel like we get to a point, and we've all done it, where I know enough, or I'm good enough, and, you know, look at me, blah, blah, blah. But the fact of the matter is, once you start to empty that cup, if you don't empty it yourself, the universe is going to come along and do it for you. Right? So just be space about a lot of things. And I think that a lot of where that comes from as a leader is not being reactive to people, but being thoughtful. Right? Because really great leaders are thoughtful leaders. And thought leadership is now like a new buzzword, but man, it's been around forever. And right. And so
I know you said, where you been at? This has been going on for a while.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's all a journey, right? And so, I really feel that if you are only 7% of our communication is verbal. The other 93% really is active listening and body language. And so a really good leader will park the 7% and watch and listen and reflect. And then the other part of that is they will ask other people for their feedback to be, integrating them into the conversation. So it's never about you, really. Yeah, that's the learning in the leadership. It's never about you.
No.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, Laura, because I'm in the corporate world too during the day. It's like, by day I'm in the corporate, by night I'm just the diamond factor and helping women accomplish. But in the corporate world, I always tell people there's a difference between leadership and management. Managing somebody in leadership. And people you always look at me and say, "What do you mean, Barbara?" I said, "Well, in leadership, you're basically helping and mold a person to get to their full potential. You're helping them and guiding them. Management is just like, okay, we're managing this project here, whatever, and But for leadership, you're taking a special interest in that person to make sure they go not just where you are as a leader, but go beyond. I always tell people when I'm mentoring them, I said, if you go surpass me, I feel like I did my job. So
that's right.
Yeah. That's what. Yeah.
And it's funny that you brought that up because, excuse me, leadership, management is leadership. It's just not taught that way. And it's not, those skills are not given to managers to be leaders. They're just put in a position to be reported to, whereas they could be so much more if they were trained properly and had the right skills. Not just as an entrepreneur, but in corporate as well. Like it goes across so many lanes, it's very true. Yeah. And I believe it would empower a lot more people as well.
Yes.
In the corporate world. And that would just ripple out, everywhere. So I think that needs to be addressed on a huge level.
You need to go into every corporation right now.
I'm working on it. Yeah.
Right away.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. So yes.
I totally get it. Yeah. And another level of that is our intelligence training, like emotional intelligence, spiritual intelligence, and this goes above communication and leadership. So it's just another level of how we can evolve as human beings. And we need that now more than ever. And I don't know about you, but if I've noticed a dividing line between, people who are moving and people who are not moving, right? Mm-hmm. And we all need to move together. It's not a good or bad thing. Yeah, for sure.
For sure, yes. So, Laura, this has been awesome, and I hate when the time leaves us, especially when I'm having a good conversation with the wonderful Queen.
I hear you.
I just want to hear any last words that you would like to leave the audience, and please let them know how they can contact you.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. You can check out my website, Leadership with Laura, and book some time with me there. I'd love to chat with you, even if it's just to have a conversation. So leadershipwithlaura.com. And last words, and I believe, Barbara, you're going to put all my contact info in the notes. So please, do contact me. I am a regular person. You can have a conversation with me. Don't feel intimidated. Okay. And the other thing I'd like to tell you all is that you are enough and you are exactly perfect where you are, but don't let that be where you're going to stop. Reach for the stars because it's possible. Okay. And that's what I'm going to leave you with.
Ooh, I don't have to eat at all today. You just gave me enough food all day to energize me and to help others. So thank you, Laura, so much for allowing me to spotlight you. This was awesome. I'm going to bring you back. Bring you back.
All right, awesome. Anytime. I love talking to people. So cool. Thank you so much, Barbara.
Thank you. So I truly wish you continue success, Laura, in your life and in your business. You know, to those that are listening, thank you for joining us today on another episode of the Diamond Factor Spotlight. And I told you I'd bring the queens. You can join us at the Facebook community, Diamond Factor Experience, where you will see her video here. And if you wish to be spotlighted, just come on and just, get me through Messenger and we can get you on a date and a time and get you out there shining, as I say, like a diamond. And remember that you have PPD, your purpose, passion, and drive. That's in you. That's your foundation. That's your gifts, your talents, who you are. What makes you get up every morning and say, I want to do this, I want to do this. Remember that your gifts are so important, not just for yourself, but for others. So spotlight that to the world. Thank you again, Laura. I appreciate you so much.
Take care.